Hey guys, and welcome back to another Mystery Monday video on my channel. I don't really have too much to say at the beginning of this one, so let's get right into this case. Elisa Lam was born on April 30th, 1991. She was described as being extremely level-headed and was actually described by some of her peers as being the nicest person that they had ever met. She at this time was living in Vancouver, British Columbia with her two parents and was attending the University of BC. She loved art, fashion, poetry, and was extremely intelligent. At this time in her life, Elisa Lam was suffering from some mental health issues, one of those being bipolar disorder and another one being depression. But she was on medication to keep these disorders at bay, and she would sometimes use her Twitter and Tumblr to express her emotions. In January of 2013, the 21-year-old university student decided that she wanted to take a trip through the United States. On January 26, Elisa Lam traveled to California on a solo trip, but during this whole entire vacation trip that she was on, she kept in constant contact with her parents via cell phone. On January 29th, Elisa Lam would check into the Cecil Hotel, which is a hotel in LA that is very close to Skid Row. This stay was only supposed to be for 3 nights, and Elisa was originally staying in a hostel-like room. But that is until the roommates that she was staying with reported strange behavior coming from Elisa to the staff members, and then she was moved to her own private room just to, keep the other people that were staying at the hotel comfortable. Now, let's just talk about the Cecil Hotel for a second. I know that this case is one that is very popular in the true crime community. I actually studied this case a lot before I even got into making these kinds of videos. So I just know that this case is very popular. And so, as some of you probably already know, the Cecil Hotel is extremely shady. Like I said before, it is really close to Skid Row, but there was definitely some really odd activity that had gone on there over the years, even before Elisa Lam. In fact, the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, lived in that hotel while he was committing his murders. The Cecil Hotel was also supposedly one of the places that the Black Dahlia actually hung out, and she was actually there just before her murder. And this is also like a suicide hotspot. Many people go there to take their own lives. Many murders have been committed there. And for those of you that are into paranormal stuff, this is supposed to be a paranormal hotspot, meaning that it is extremely haunted. February 1st was supposed to be the day that Elisa Lam would be checking out of the Cecil Hotel, but when she didn't show up for checkout and couldn't be tracked down by hotel staff, they contacted the police to report Elisa Lam missing. A cafe hostess at the hotel as well as the front desk clerk was the last 2 people to see Elisa Lam alive, and that would be on January 31st. They both said that nothing seemed extremely out of the ordinary and she did appear to be alone. Investigators did thoroughly search the hotel, but they were unable to check every single room because they didn't have probable cause, and at this point it didn't seem like any crime was committed. On February 6th, the LAPD held a press conference to talk about Elisa Lam's disappearance, and this was attended by both of Elisa's parents. And on February 14th, the police released the video of Elisa Lam in the elevator to the public. And I'm going to insert that video here, although I'm pretty sure most of you have probably seen this video before if you are into this kind of true crime stuff. This video of Elisa Lam in the elevator grabbed a lot of people's attention, not only because of how bizarre Elisa is acting in the video, but just because of how overly all strange this video is within itself. Many people have extensively studied this video, and it is linked to many of the theories of what happened to Elisa. But I'm going to come back to talk about those theories in just a minute. Over the time that Elisa Lam was missing, many of the Cecil Hotel guests actually were complaining to staff about a foul scent and smell that was coming from the water, and it was also discolored. After getting one of these complaints, one of the hotel staff members decided to go and check the water tanks just to make sure everything was running smoothly and to try and figure out what exactly was wrong with the water. That is when he discovered the body of 21-year-old Elisa Lam floating in one of the 4 water tanks on top of the Cecil Hotel. When Elisa was found, she was completely naked, but the clothes that she was wearing in the elevator were found inside the water tank with her. She just wasn't wearing them. And to investigators and people who have thoroughly studied this case, this whole entire situation was just extremely odd. Although possible, it would have been very difficult for Elisa to have gained access to the Cecil Hotel roof. There are many alarms that are set to trigger if the door is open or anything like that, because the hotel staff or the people who own the hotel do not want guests going up there and hanging out. So in order to get onto the roof of the Cecil Hotel without triggering an alarm, you need a staff card, which Elisa did not have. And it is also said that there is another access to the roof, which would be through one of the hotel windows and up a fire escape. So although it is possible, it is just very difficult for somebody to have access to the roof of the hotel. Not to mention, once she actually got onto the roof, the water tanks were on a platform that was about 10 feet tall, so she would have had to climb up a 10-foot ladder to get to the water tank. And then on top of the water tank, there was a lid, and these lids are extremely heavy. Many of the staff members say that it would have been very difficult for one person to have lifted these lids by themselves. But when Elisa was found inside the water tank, the lid was actually closed. And I believe that the man who found her was looking through like a little window box. I've seen a picture of it, so I'll insert that somewhere here. Now I'm going to backtrack a little bit here and start to talk about the video surveillance footage of Elisa in the elevator. In the video, you see Elisa, and to me it almost kind of looks like she might be talking to somebody. She then gets into the elevator and pushes what seems to be multiple buttons and then waits for the elevator doors to close, which they do not. She then looks out of the elevator door and gets back into the elevator and does this a couple times, accompanied by some bizarre hand movements and some very strange body gestures. And this goes on throughout the whole entire video, and the elevator doors just stay open, oddly enough, until Elisa is actually out of the elevator. I would also like to just point out the timestamp that is in the lower left corner of the video, because that is something that I'm going to talk about, and that is something that is often talked about in this case. So the first thing that really stands out to me in this video, besides Elisa's strange acting and body movements, is the fact that this video surveillance is almost 4 minutes long and the elevator's doors stay open the whole entire time. Some people have speculated that maybe because Elisa didn't have her glasses on, that she couldn't see the buttons that she was pushing and she accidentally pushed the hold door button. Now I think this is a fair theory as to why the doors may have stayed open this long, but I also have seen many photos of Elisa online where she isn't wearing her glasses, so it is also very possible that she didn't need them to see, or that she didn't have that bad eyesight that she couldn't make out things in front of her, or she could have easily been wearing contacts. You just never know. Many people have really analyzed the video of Elisa Lam in the elevator, and those people discovered that this video is extremely edited. And I would again just like to talk about the timestamp in the left-hand corner. To me, it looks so blurred that I can't make out anything, but some people again have really studied this video, and with the help of that timestamp have discovered that this video is extremely slowed down. With that, they have also discovered that 54 seconds of this footage is actually cut out, and it is completely missing, and there is no way that we can actually get that footage back, and the public has never been given an explanation as to why the footage was cut out. Some people have speculated that maybe this part of the video just wasn't relevant to the case, so they just cut it for time purposes. And other people have speculated that maybe somebody was walking by the elevator at that time or was seen talking to Elisa, and this person has already been cleared, so they cut them out of the video just to, save that person's identity. But I feel like if that was the case, investigators would have already covered that with the public, just to give an explanation as to this strange situation where 54 seconds are missing from this video. So, as you are probably seeing throughout this video now, that this case is one of the strangest cases I have ever come across, and it is definitely one of the strangest cases out there. So, as you have probably already guessed, some of the theories in this case are also extremely strange, and there are so many theories in this case. So I'm just going to talk about the ones that I think personally make the most sense, or the ones that were more widely speculated. But with that being said, I would also just like to point out that some of these theories aren't really theories, they're just very odd, unexplainable coincidences with this case. The first theory that I'm going to talk about in this case is the one that is most widely speculated and talked about online, and that is that Elisa Lam killed herself, whether that be on purpose or accidental, although the LAPD has now confirmed that her death is due to accidental drowning. Like I mentioned before, Elisa Lam did have some mental health issues, and one of these mental health issues was depression, which she did take medication for, and many people believe that her death could have been the result of this depression. Due to the strangeness surrounding Elisa Lam's death, I just personally don't think that she crawled into the water tank willingly. I don't think that she put herself in there on purpose, but again, who knows? But there are many theories within this theory, but there are only two that I think are very plausible. One being that she had some kind of psychotic break and accidentally ended up somehow inside of the water tank, and two, that she was on some kind of drug and kind of just ended up again on the roof in the water tank. Now, the reason that these two theories are the ones that I think personally make the most sense, again, is because of the elevator footage. Now, Elisa is acting extremely bizarre in the elevator footage, and she seems like she could be under the influence of some kind of drug, or like she has had some kind of mental break. Maybe in Elisa's mental state, she thought that somebody was following her, and she fled to the hotel roof to try and escape this person through the window up the fire escape. And maybe she had somehow managed to get herself into the water tank, thinking that this was a good place to hide. But this theory leaves so many questions. Why had she taken off all of her clothes? How did she know that if she got to the fire escape, it would lead up to the roof? And how did she get the water tank's lid off by herself? Also, toxicology reports show that Elisa had no drugs or alcohol in her system, although many people believe that these tests were forged, so that is just something to think about. Others have speculated that maybe Elisa Lam was possessed or being tormented by the hotel ghosts. Now, like I said before, the Cecil Hotel has a very bad reputation, and even before Elisa's death was said to be very haunted, leading some people to believe that the dark entities that were haunting the Cecil Hotel had something to do with Elisa Lam's strange death. Now, I don't really have any information to back up this theory, but I still just thought that I would mention it. Others have speculated that it is possible that Elisa was playing what is known as the elevator game. Now, this game originated from Korea, and I'm just going to be looking down here for a minute so that I can read off kind of the rules and what the game is all about without messing it up. Only one person can play this game at a time, and you can only perform this ritual in a building that has at least 10 stories. And it also has to have at least one elevator. Without any of this, you cannot proceed otherwise. Traveling instructions. Enter the elevator for the first floor by yourself. If anyone else gets on, understand that you cannot continue from the first floor and wait until the elevator can be taken alone. Press the button for the fourth floor. Do not get out when the elevator reaches the fourth floor. Stay in the elevator and press the button for the second floor. Do not get out when you reach the second floor. Stay on the elevator and then press the button for the sixth floor. Do not get out when you reach the sixth floor. Remain in the elevator and press the button for the second floor. Do not get out when you reach the second floor. Stay on the elevator and press the button for the 10th floor. Some have reported hearing a voice calling them on the second floor during the middle section of the ritual. Do not reply and do not answer in any way. Do not get out once you have reached the 10th floor. Stay on and press the button for the 5th floor. It has been reported by some that a woman may enter the elevator on the 5th floor. She may appear as a stranger who wishes to engage with you. More importantly, she may appear as someone you know. It is important that you do not acknowledge her in words or glances. If the elevator you are on is reflective, then stare at the floor or the buttons only. Now push the button to head to the first floor. If instead of going towards the first floor, it begins to ascend to the 10th floor, then you have performed the ritual correctly. However, and this is very important, if you instead do descend to the first floor, then you have done something wrong. Get off at the first floor immediately, and if the woman is on the elevator, then remember not to acknowledge her at all. If you reach the 10th floor, you can either stay on the elevator or exit the elevator. Some have reported that upon attempting to leave the elevator, the woman will try at least one more time to engage with you. She may raise her voice and ask you where you are going or what's wrong. She may shriek as you cross the door's threshold. Keep in mind that you cannot engage with this woman at all, and do not engage with her out of fear. There is only one way to know whether you have traveled to another world for sure. You will know because you will be the only person there. There are also a few alternating versions of this game, but the main purpose of the elevator game is to actually travel to another dimension. And because of Elisa's bizarre movements in the elevator and because of how erratically she was pushing the buttons, some people do believe that she was playing the elevator game and that it worked, but it went horribly wrong. Now, this isn't a theory, but it is a coincidence, and a very, very dark one that I came across that I thought was super odd. And this kind of links Elisa Lam's death to Aleister Crowley. He claimed to have met a being that was similar to the Greys, which are aliens for those of you who don't know. And this being's name was Lam, like as in Elisa Lam. It is said that after meeting this being, Aleister Crowley performed a ritual to try and open the doors between this being's dimension and ours, which is very strange seeing as the elevator game is to travel to a different dimension. Crowley also wrote a poem while staying in the Cecil Hotel in London, and that in itself is a little bit strange, but this poem was called Jephthah, and Jephthah sacrificed his daughter Celia, which sounds very similar to Cecil, but it is also an anagram for Elisa. Now, I'm not saying that I personally believe that this happened, I'm just saying that this is a very, very strange coincidence, and Aleister Crowley was very satanic and creepy and weird, so for this to have gone so well with her case just is something very bizarre and creepy to me. And then there are the strange similarities between Elisa's death and the movie Dark Waters. Now, Dark Waters was originally a Japanese film that was released in 2002 and then remade into an English film that was released in 2005. This movie is about a young girl by the name of Natasha who drowns in an apartment building's rooftop water tanks. And in this movie, I guess like a little bit after the girl dies, a woman named Dahlia and her daughter Cecilia move into the apartment building, and the whole entire movie is basically about how Natasha's spirit haunts the hotel. And throughout this film, there are just countless similarities to Elisa Lam's death. One of them being that Elisa Lam's body was discovered on the rooftop water tank, and two being that the little girl's name in the movie is Cecilia and the hotel is called the Cecil. 3, the camera angle of Dahlia in the apartment building's elevator is very similar to the way that Elisa is standing in the elevator footage of her. I'm going to try and put a side-by-side comparison here, but if I can't find one, I highly recommend that you go and look that up because it's pretty interesting. 4, there is a scene in the movie where the little girl tries to gain access to the roof, but the door is locked and it has like security, which is kind of like the Elisa Lam situation. That door should have been locked and there should have been security on it. There was no way to tell if for some reason the door wasn't locked or the alarms weren't on, but that is typically how this door was set up. 5 is that Elisa Lam was found naked in the water tank, but her red hoodie was found in there with her. And when Natasha drowns in the movie, she is wearing a red hoodie, and Cecilia is wearing a red hoodie throughout the film. And again, like in the movie, the hotel guests and the residents at this apartment building claimed about the... And again, similar to the movie as well as the real life situation, many people at the hotel and many people in the apartment in the movie complained about a foul scent, water pressure, the discoloration of the water, things like that throughout the movie as well as in real life. Now, I'm not saying that this is a theory yet again, but if you actually go on your own and look up all of the coincidences between the movie and Elisa's death, they're just absolutely insane and it is so creepy. Another one of the more widely believed theories in this case is that Elisa Lam was murdered. And again, there is a bunch of theories within this theory. So I'm going to talk about facts first, and then I'm kind of going to branch off into theories that go along with those facts. It is believed that investigators on this case just didn't thoroughly investigate the situation. And an example of this is that a rape kit was done on Elisa Lam, but it was never processed. And it is said that this was never processed due to the fact that the last time Elisa Lam was seen alive, she was completely alone. Now, that just screams odd to me because I don't think you need to be technically hanging out with somebody to be the victim of some kind of sexual assault. When Elisa was found, she had anal bleeding, which to me seems like a for sure sign of some kind of sexual intercourse, whether that be consensual or not. But after doing a little bit more research on this topic, it is said that after being submerged in water for a long period of time, like she was, this could have also been the result of that. Multiple sex offenders were residing in the Cecil Hotel at the time of Elisa's death. Maybe she was having some kind of mental break or just wanted to get away from all the hustle and bustle of the big LA city, and that is why she went to the roof, and maybe once she got up there, she ran into some kind of trouble. To me, that kind of gives an explanation as to why she was found completely naked, and also gives kind of a reason as to how she ended up in the water tank and how she also ended up on the roof. Another theory that could kind of go along with this theory is that Elisa could have possibly known her attacker. Maybe not well, but she did make a post somewhere. I'm not sure if it was on her Twitter or her... Another thing that kind of can go along with this theory is maybe Elisa knew her attacker. Now, I'm not completely positive on this, but I did see in many places that Elisa had posted on social media that she had told somebody that she just met that she liked him. Now, it isn't exactly clear whether Elisa meant that she liked this man romantically or as a friend, but due to the fact that she did feel the need to post about this on her blog, I do think that she liked this person a little bit more than a friend. Maybe Elisa told this person that she liked him while she was staying in LA, and maybe the two started spending some quality time together. Maybe this person was part of the hotel staff, which would explain how she got on the roof. Maybe he had a staff card. And if he was a member of staff, this could also explain why it looks like Elisa is talking to somebody in the elevator. Maybe this person was staff and knew exactly which way the camera would be going and how to stay out of view of it. Just also something that I want to mention is that Elisa actually posted on her social media that she had lost a cell phone that belonged to one of her friends that they had lent her. Now, it isn't clear if this is the cell phone that she was using to stay in contact with her parents or not, but when Elisa was found in the water tank, no cell phone was found nearby. So maybe the person who attacked her, if this is the case, found her cell phone and either took it with them or threw it off the roof to kind of save their own butt. Others believe that Elisa Lam could have been assassinated over a government-funded project. In the days leading up to Elisa's death, she actually retweeted something about a Pentagon-funded invisibility cloak project. And some people believe that she either overshared or talked too much about this or kind of interfered with this project, resulting in her assassination. To me, this theory just seems absolutely ridiculous. I actually seen the tweet, and all Elisa did was merely mention it. Like, you know, you can like retweet things and like mention the person who said it, and that is exactly what she did, which is the first thing that kind of makes this odd to me. But the second thing is, if the government didn't want this to be spread, why would they be tweeting about it and sharing it online? I mean, stranger things have happened, so maybe I just didn't read into this theory enough, but it does seem like one that isn't really plausible to me. It is also speculated that Elisa's death could have been some kind of satanic sacrifice due to the darkness that surrounds the Cecil Hotel, but again, there just isn't too much to back this theory up. And this next coincidence and theory is definitely just one of the strangest, but the thing about it is it all makes sense. There was an outbreak of tuberculosis in Skid Row and the area surrounding the Cecil Hotel. The test for this strain of tuberculosis was made 4 years before Elisa's death in 2009, and it was actually called the Lam Elisa, leading many people to believe that Elisa Lam could have been an experiment to examine the pathogens in the human brain. Now, I'm going to mention a medication, and I did look up the pronunciation, but I still feel like I'm going to butcher it, so I'm going to just put it on the screen somewhere here. Isoniazid is the medication that is usually used to treat TB, and the side effects of this medication are extremely strange and erratic behavior as well as confusion. And I do believe that this could be why Elisa is acting so paranoid and bizarre in the elevator footage. That would also explain why she ended up going onto the roof. So that is just something to think about, although again, the test did come back saying that she had no traces of drugs in her system, although again, some people believe that these tests were forged, so this could very well be a cover-up. Others believe that Elisa Lam wasn't actually a real person, and they just created this whole entire situation to distract the public from the fact that there was a TB outbreak in LA. Now, I just don't believe this theory because Elisa Lam did have many loved ones and friends and family who have come forward and spoke about her, although we do know now that crisis actors are a thing, so you just never know in these kinds of situations. For a case that is so widely publicized, the investigators on this case seem to really want to keep this case under wraps. A lot of information hasn't been released to the public, and it's just kind of been shoved to the side. And to me, that just seems so strange. But this is a case that I just keep coming back to time and time again because it seems like something that could only happen in a horror movie. But as always in cases like this, I sincerely hope that Elisa's family and loved ones can get some solid answers on what caused Elisa's strange death. And guys, that brings us to the end of this video. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to comment down below what you'd like to see in my future videos, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell so that you don't miss another video from me. And also quickly, I just want to say thank you so much because we have reached 1,000 subscribers, and I know to many people that might not seem like a lot, but I didn't have internet for 2 weeks, and then I turned on my internet and I looked and I saw 1,000 subscribers and I was so happy, so just thank you so much for that. Anyways, I'll see you guys next week for another video like this one. Bye!